I'm sure many of you remember when the M&P 2.0 compact came out in 9mm. Well, we've already covered that. What's in this box is the new 45 version. Let's take a look. So we have our cardboard box as we've come to expect with these, which really, I mean, there's mixed theory on these things, or mixed opinion, if you will, between if the cardboard box is great or not. Half the time you end up tossing them. The cases are nice, but you know, do you really end up using it or not? For me, no, I have a range bag. This chamber flag was in the gun. Yes, I've already had this gun out to fondle it. Let's see what we got in here. We have our second magazine, our 3 back straps, and underneath is our manual. Let's take a look at what they did for manual. Looks like the gray, red, and white with full color photos. Oh, I'm sorry. Looks like the gray, red, and white with full detail photos is what I meant to say. Sometimes I prefer these photos over the graphic renderings. Other times renderings can be a little more clear, but looks like they did a pretty good job on this photography. So for anyone who is getting this as a first gun, should be okay. Let's get this out of the way and take a look at that gun. So this guy might look awfully familiar. I think it looks a whole lot like the 9mm, just with a bigger hole. Let's show clear, of course. Start off. We do have some slight ejection there. It's not just a release. Notice there's also that recess there to be able to strip a mag if need be. Very smart of Smith & Wesson. And we can see the chamber's clear. We do have a witness window there to be able to peer in. Not a fan of witness windows, but they're better than nothing. I prefer the little pop-up chamber indicators. I know a lot of people hate on them. I have no idea why. Anyways, it's all a matter of personal preference. Notice the magazine witness windows are on the back, not on the left side. For me, ideal is left side. That way you can check like this. But you know what, if you're here, this isn't that bad of a twist to be able to take a look at the back side of it. Looks like we've got 10 rounds plus 1 in this guy because of those fat old 45 rounds. Take a look around the gun, starting up front. We do have a little side to side. No vertical squish there. You can see the barrel is certainly taking up more space in that slide than the 9mm version. You can also see that the gun is a little bit wider than the 9mm version. Of course, it has to be. We've got plenty of rail space here. Our front serrations are scalloping in that little swell right there. I want to thank Mr. Guns and Gear for pointing that out on the original, because that kind of forces you to release on your way back. Not sure if that was intentional or not, but it is certainly a feature. In this cut, I love the finish that they put on these guns. Steel sight, or takedown lever, no checkering on the front of the trigger guard. Very aggressive texturing all the way around the gun, just like on the 9mm. Controls easily within reach for my hands with the standard grip that comes on it. We'll explore those grips in a little bit. And you've got a bit of a depression here that could work for grabbing, but these fish scale serrations really make it easy to grab. Those of you that like the slingshot method, great gun for it. We also have a little ledge right here to make for one-handed operation possible. Lots of texturing. Let's give this trigger a feel. A little bit of grind back to that wall. Clean break. Reset is audible and tactile. It actually kicked my finger forward a little bit past where it needed to be. Let's see if I can learn this. Wow, it really kicks you back. So this would be kind of a good trigger for slapping. Not bad, very crisp. About as crisp as it gets for striker fire. We can see the heel here sticks out a little bit. This is actually what you twist to remove this back strap, but that also works for bringing the magazine in and slapping it against the edge like that. Not a whole lot of beveling, or flare, if you will, but there is beveling to make those insertions a little easier while still keeping the gun slim. Got to keep in mind that with 45, you end up with a fat magazine, which can make for a fatter handle. 3-dot sights, very nice and bright. Plenty of space on either side of that front sight post for those of you who like it. Little side-to-side play, no vertical play. And coming around the right side of the gun, you can see that the magazine release is reversible. We also have our slide stop and release on this side. Let's see if it works. Yes, it works as a stop. Looks like it's not going to work as a release. Try this one. Works just fine. So that's a little reminiscent of some other guns that have had that issue. We'll take a look at the metal that's used in there. There we go. It does work. Just was a little stiff. Yeah. Not gonna pop easily for me. That side pops very easily. All right. Let's take a look at those different grips and how they affect hand placement. So to start off and show you, these back straps are all labeled. Get the light in there, you can see that says small. Then we've got this medium large and a large. And what I meant by hand placement, and this is something that's often overlooked and sometimes not mentioned at gun shops, which is really unfortunate because it can impact how well you shoot with the gun or how quickly you learn it. So I've got my hand on this MP 2.0 45 in a good shooting grip, as I normally would. I can reach the slide stop release. I can depress the magazine release without having to shift my grip, to rotate around like you have to do sometimes. Glocks are, third generation Glocks are notorious for people having to do that to drop their magazine or come up and use that left thumb on their way down, which isn't always 100% reliable. So thumb controls are great. My finger reaches to right here. It's a smooth spot, so maybe not ideal memory spot, but that's just discipline. Trigger reach, that is important. So if I rest my finger on here, you can see that my finger sticks a little further through than what is ideal. You want the trigger to rest on the center of that pad to have the most straight pull. If you have too much finger in there, you can end up pulling the gun to the right. Too little finger, and it'll actually push the gun to the left a little bit. So although these reaches are easy for me, I would not be as accurate grabbing this gun quickly without applying some mental discipline to bring my trigger finger out a little bit. That makes sense? All right, let's see what the small does, and we'll work our way up. You twist that little bit at the bottom and pull it out, as you just saw, and then these work off. There's our medium. Try the small. We're going to fit this tang into the top there. Bring that down. I'm not going to worry about locking things in place. All right, so now my thumb extends well beyond these controls. So they're definitely still within reach. You can see my trigger finger is now to this edge here, reaches a little bit further, and I can get my knuckle, first knuckle, onto that trigger. Way too much. I'd have to bring my finger all the way out to here for that to work. Too small for me. We'll try the medium large, which you can see has a little bit of swell on the sides. Also has added a little bit to the tang. That feels better. And you can see my thumb still reaches these controls. It's a little bit more of a reach for the magazine. I'm back behind that edge there again. And trigger, if I just stick my hand in there, I can still get my finger to the knuckle if I want, but my natural fall is a little closer to the center. So this could work for me. It definitely swells a bit. You can see it's wider right through here and fills the hand. And let's take a look at the large. Come on. Whew, this one has a noticeable swell. Look at that. That is much broader. These controls still within reach, though shorter because of that added space filled in here. And I'm now further back for my index point, and my natural fall is right to the center of my finger. So this large backstrap would be one that I could grab and pull and have a straight trigger pull on without shifting the gun to either side. Doesn't feel quite as comfortable in the hand as, say, the medium does or the medium large, but this is ideal for shooting for my hand. Hope all that makes sense. This is something that doesn't get covered a whole lot. I actually am working on an article to explain all of this because it's a shame when you see people really struggle, and they shouldn't have to be. I'm going to put the medium one back on here. The came, yeah, see, now I'm back to my knuckle easily reaching over through there. But Maddie's going to have to shoot this thing, so I'm going to leave this on. Next, we'll field strip this thing and take a look inside the gun. So disassembly is, or field stripping, is of course the same as the rest of the Smith & Wesson line. We lock the slide back, rotate this piece down, release the slide, pull the trigger, and the slide comes off. You can see we've got orange paint on the spring here. That's interesting. That may be to indicate that it's for 45. Flat recoil spring that is captured on a stainless guide rod. And our barrel comes out. We'll take a look at chamber support, using, as always, Nosler match. Most reliable the ammunition as far as each round being exactly like the previous one that I've tested. Look at that, it's beautiful. They polish this stuff. Drop that in, and for chamber support, what we're looking at is how much of the shell is supported by the chamber, hence chamber support. Reason why this is important is for reloaders or those who might encounter weak brass or a hot charge. That's what keeps your brass from blowing apart. So some, like the earlier Glock barrels that weren't fully supported, you could end up with some issues. This one is quite obviously fully supported. We have a nice polished feed ramp there. Look at that big bore 45. My first serious carry gun was a 45, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. Shot it through competition, even though it wasn't meant to be a competition gun. But yeah, 45, it's just American, you know. Taking a look inside our frame, we can see we've got steel inserts for our guide rails. Everything nice and clean. Machining in the slide is impeccable, as is this finish. There's our drop safety plunger. Looks beautifully made. This finish that they put on the slides is great. I love it. So that's our tabletop look at the new 45 2.0 compact from Smith & Wesson. Some of you may be wondering how it compares or contrasts against the 9mm, and we can take a look at that. I was just curious. It's been a while since I've shot a 45 compact, just because, you know, I'm kind of a 9mm guy. So to put these side by side, 9 and 45, you can see the barrel length is the same. Maybe not. Looks like the 9 may actually be a wee bit longer. You can see that the 45 is a broader gun, as it must be for 45 caliber. As far as height, the 45 is also a little bit taller. See that there? It's probably so that they can have respectable capacity. It is a 10 round in the 45. The 9mm is 14 or 15 plus 1. 45 is 10. It's interesting that these magazines have a different finish on them. I wonder why they did that. I don't think it makes a difference. It still feels plenty smooth and resistant. Stamped Smith & Wesson just like the 9mm is. But other than that, they're very comparable. weight in hand feels about the same. The 45 is probably a touch heavier, but hard to tell. Maybe when we take these out and shoot them, we should do them side by side. I'll leave that up to the vote from you all if you want to see them side by side. Maybe some slow motion side by side like we did with the 380 and 9mm would be a good comparison. Let me know what your thoughts are on these, and we'll get them out to the range. Thanks for watching.